First contact. The red dwarf star Proxima Centauri cast a dim, ruddy glow over the barren landscape of Outpost Epsilon. Dr. Samantha Chen squinted through the reinforced windows of the command center, her eyes scanning the rocky terrain for any sign of movement. After 3 years on this desolate planet, she'd had grown accustomed to the perpetual twilight, but never to the crushing loneliness. Another thrilling day in paradise, quipped Technical Officer Marco Ruse, his sarcasm barely masking the edge of frustration in his voice. Remind me again why we signed up for this gig, Sam. Samantha turned from the window, offering a wry smile to her colleague. To push the boundaries of human exploration, of course. To boldly go where no one has gone before. Right, Marco snorted. I forgot about the recruitment poster. Should have read the fine print about endless boredom and freeze-dried rations. Their banter was interrupted by a sudden, urgent beeping from the central console. Security Chief Aisha Okafor's fingers flew across the holographic interface, her dark eyes widening as she interpreted the data. We've got something, Aisha announced, her voice taut with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Unidentified object entering the atmosphere at high velocity. It's not following any known trajectory for debris or natural phenomena. Samantha felt her heart rate quicken. After years of uneventful observation and data collection, could this be the moment they had all secretly hoped for? Put on the main screen, she ordered, slipping effortlessly into her role as mission commander. The large display flickered to life, showing a fiery streak cutting across the perpetually twilight sky of Proxima b. As they watched, the object's descent seemed to slow, its path becoming more controlled. That's no meteor, Marco whispered, voicing the thought that had seized them all. Samantha's mind raced through protocols and contingencies, none of which truly prepared them for this moment. Aista, sound the alert. I want all personnel at their stations. Marco, prep the rover. We're going out there. Within minutes, Samantha found herself bouncing across the rocky terrain in the reinforced exploration vehicle, Marco at the controls and Aisha monitoring their surroundings from the back seat. The object had come down several kilometers from the outpost in a region of deep canyons and jagged rock formations. As they crested a ridge, they saw it, a sleek, silvery craft about the size of a small aircraft, its hull still glowing faintly from atmospheric entry. It bore no resemblance to any human design. My God, Aisha breathed, it's really happening. Samantha steeled herself, pushing down the cocktail of fear and exhilaration threatening to overwhelm her. Remember your training, she said, as much to herself as to her team. We approach cautiously. No sudden movements. Let's not start an interstellar incident on our first day of first contact. They exited the rover, the lower gravity of Proxima by making their steps light despite the bulky environmental suits. As they drew closer to the craft, Samantha noticed a faint shimmer in the air around it, like heat haze on a summer day. Suddenly, a section of the hull seemed to melt away, revealing a darkened interior. A figure stumbled out, clearly striving to stay upright in the planet's gravity. It was roughly humanoid, but with iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors with each labored movement. Most strikingly, it had 4 arms, the lower pair clutching at what appeared to be a severe wound in its midsection. The alien's gaze locked onto Samantha, its large, multifaceted eyes reflecting the red light of Proxima Centauri. It opened its mouth, revealing rows of small, pointed teeth, and emitted a series of clicks and whistles. To Samantha's astonishment, the sounds began to coalesce into recognizable words, as if the alien's vocalizations were being instantly translated. Help, please, they're coming. With those words, the alien collapsed onto the rocky ground. Samantha rushed forward, her medical training overriding any hesitation. As she knelt beside the fallen creature, she noticed a small device affixed to its throat, some kind of universal translator. Marco, get the medical kit from the rover, Samantha ordered, her fingers already probing for vital signs. The alien's skin was cool to the touch, its pulse rapid and weak. Aisha, keep an eye on our surroundings. If our new friend here is running from something, we need to be prepared. As she worked to stabilize the alien's condition, Samantha's mind whirled with questions. Who was this being? What was it fleeing from? And how would this encounter change everything they thought they knew about humanity's place in the universe? The alien stirred under her ministrations, its multifaceted eyes focusing on her with startling clarity. "Thank you," it whispered through the translator. "I am Zaxxlian, my people, in danger, must warn." "Save your strength," Samantha soothed, applying a pressure bandage to the worst of Zaxxlian's wounds. "You're safe now. We'll help you." As if in response to her words, a distant rumble shook the ground. Aisha's voice crackled over the comm system, tight with urgency. "Commander, we've got multiple contacts entering the atmosphere, big ones, and they're heading straight for us." Samantha looked up at the darkening sky, where new streaks of fire were blooming against the eternal twilight. Whatever Zaxxlian was running from, it had followed them to this remote outpost of humanity. "Get Zaxxlian into the rover," she commanded, her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her insides. "We're taking our new friend back to base. Looks like quiet time is over, people. Whatever's coming, we need to be ready." As they sped back towards Outpost Epsilon, the alien craft cradled securely in the rover's cargo bay, Samantha couldn't shake the feeling that they had just been thrust onto a cosmic stage far larger than they had ever imagined. Humanity's first contact would not be a cautious, carefully managed affair of diplomats and scientists. Instead, it would be a trial by fire, with the fate of not just their small outpost, but perhaps their entire species hanging in the balance. The red dwarf star seemed to pulse ominously overhead, as if heralding the dawn of a new era, one that would test the limits of human courage, ingenuity, and determination. As Samantha Chen steeled herself for the challenges ahead, she knew one thing with absolute certainty: humanity would not go quietly into the cosmic night. The pursuit begins. The airlock of Outpost Epsilon hissed shut behind them, sealing out the alien atmosphere and the looming threat it now contained. Dr. Samantha Chen helped the wounded Zaxxlian onto a makeshift examination table in the med bay, her mind racing with equal parts scientific curiosity and tactical concern. "Marco, I need you to analyze that craft," Samantha ordered as she began attaching monitoring devices to Zaxxlian's iridescent skin. "See if you can get any data on its propulsion system, defenses, anything that might give us an edge. Aisa, coordinate with the rest of the team. I want full perimeter scans and our defense systems primed." As her colleagues rushed to their tasks, Samantha turned her full attention to their extraterrestrial guest. Zaxxlian's multifaceted eyes blinked rapidly, focusing and refocusing on the unfamiliar surroundings. "You're safe now," Samantha said softly, hoping the translator would convey her reassurance. "Can you tell me what happened? Who's pursuing you?" Zaxxlian's lower set of arms twitched, a gesture Samantha interpreted as distress. "The Corax," the alien whispered, the translator rendering the name with an ominous rasp. "They seek to enslave all sentient species, to strip mine worlds of resources and life. My people, we resisted. I carry vital information, the key to their defeat." Samantha's heart raced at the implications. They had stumbled into an interstellar conflict far beyond anything humanity had prepared for. "And now the Corax have followed you here," she said, more a statement than a question. Zaxxlian's skin rippled, changing from a deep blue to a mottled gray. "I am sorry," the alien said, genuine remorse in its voice. "I did not mean to bring this war to your world. I had no choice." Before Samantha could respond, Aisha's voice crackled over the intercom. "Commander, we've got incoming. Multiple ships entering low orbit. They're massive." Samantha squeezed Zaxxlian's upper arm gently. "Rest, we'll figure this out." She hurried to the command center, where a holographic display showed the unfolding situation. Her breath caught in her throat at the sight of the Corax vessels, sleek, predatory shapes that dwarfed any human spacecraft. "What are our options?" she asked, forcing calm into her voice. Marco, his face pale but determined, pointed to a series of readouts. The good news is, I've managed to interface with Zaxxalian's chip. Its stealth technology is incredible. If we can adapt it to our systems, we might be able to mask our presence. And the bad news? Samantha prompted. The bad news is that we're massively outgunned, Aisha interjected. Our defensive systems were designed to handle micrometeorites and solar flares, not an alien invasion force. Samantha closed her eyes for a moment, centering herself. When she opened them, there was steel in her gaze. Then we don't fight them head-on. We're scientists, explorers. It's time we start thinking outside the box. Over the next few hours, as the Corax ships settled into orbit and began methodically scanning the planet's surface, the crew of Outpost Epsilon worked feverishly. They integrated Zaxxalian's stealth technology into their systems, cloaking the base from the most obvious detection methods. But they knew it was only a matter of time before the aliens found them. Zaxxalian, recovering slowly but steadily, provided crucial information about Corax tactics and technology. They will send ground forces, the alien explained. Drone swarms first, then shock troops. They do not expect resistance on uninhabited worlds. Well, they're in for a surprise, Marco muttered, his fingers flying over a console as he reprogrammed their atmospheric sensors into a makeshift early warning system. As night fell, or what passed for night on a tidally locked world, Samantha gathered her team. I won't lie to you, she said, looking each of them in the eye. We're facing an enemy far beyond our technological level, with resources we can barely comprehend. But we have advantages they don't expect. We know this terrain. We have Zaxxalian's intel. And most importantly, we have human ingenuity and determination. She paused, letting her words sink in. Humanity has always thrived when pushed to its limits. It's time to show the galaxy what we're made of. A series of sharp beeps cut through the tension. Aisha's eyes widened as she interpreted the data. Multiple atmospheric entries detected. They're coming. Samantha nodded grimly. Battle stations, everyone. Remember your training, trust your instincts, and watch each other's backs. We're not just fighting for ourselves now. We're fighting for Earth, for humanity's future among the stars. As her team rushed to their positions, Samantha felt a presence behind her. Zaxxalian stood there, still weak but resolute. Your people show great courage, the alien said softly. I begin to understand why the Corax fear the potential of young races. Samantha managed a tight smile. They haven't seen anything yet. Outside, the perpetual twilight of Proxima was shattered by the fiery trails of incoming Corax dropships. The first battle for humanity's place in the galaxy was about to begin, and the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. In the command center, Samantha Chen took a deep breath, steadying herself for the challenges ahead. She thought of Earth, billions of kilometers away, blissfully unaware of the cosmic drama unfolding on this remote world. Whatever happened in the coming hours and days, she knew that humanity would never be the same. All right, she said, her voice filled with quiet determination. Let's show these Corax what humans are capable of. As the first wave of alien drones descended upon Outpost Epsilon, humanity prepared to make its stand. The night was long, and dawn, if it ever came, would bring either triumph or extinction. But for now, in this moment, a small band of human explorers stood ready to face the universe and all its terrors, armed with nothing but their wits, their courage, and their unwavering spirit. The pursuit had begun, and with it, the true test of humanity's place among the stars. Unlikely heroes. The air crackled with tension as the first wave of Corax drones swarmed towards Outpost Epsilon. Dr. Samantha Chen watched the holographic display, her fingers hovering over the makeshift defense controls. Beside her, Zaxxalian's multifaceted eyes darted across the screen, translating alien tactics into actionable intelligence. Now, Zaxxalian whispered urgently, activate your countermeasures now. Samantha didn't hesitate. She slammed her palm down on the activation panel, triggering the array of jury-rigged defenses the team had cobbled together in their frantic preparations. Immediately, the night sky above the outpost came alive with a dazzling light show. Dozens of high-powered lasers, repurposed from their astronomical observation equipment, lanced out in precisely calculated patterns. The beams didn't target the drones directly. Instead, they created a complex, shifting web of light in the atmosphere. Incredible, Zaxxlian breathed, skin shimmering with excitement. You've created a photonic interference field. Marco grinned from his station. Those drones rely heavily on optical sensors for navigation and targeting. This should scramble their circuits like an egg in a microwave. True to Marco's prediction, the first wave of drones began to falter. Some spiraled out of control, crashing into the rocky terrain. Others collided with each other, creating a deadly aerial ballet of destruction. But the victory was short-lived. A second wave of larger, more heavily armored drones pushed through the interference field. Their sensors adapted to the chaotic light patterns. They learned fast, Aisha growled, her fingers flying over her console as she coordinated the outpost's limited physical defenses. Railguns online, targeting solutions locked. The ground shook as electromagnetically accelerated projectiles screamed from concealed silos, their hypervelocity impacts shattering the armored drones into clouds of debris. But for every drone they destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. "We can't keep this up forever," Samantha muttered, her mind racing for solutions. She turned to Zaxxlian. "What else can you tell us about their tactics? Any weaknesses we can exploit?" The alien's skin rippled with concentration. The Corax rely heavily on centralized command and control. If we could disrupt their communications. Marco's eyes lit up. The quantum entanglement array. We were using it for instantaneous communication with Earth, but if we can recalibrate it to interfere with the Corax command frequencies. "Do it," Samantha ordered. "Aisha, I need you to buy us time. Use whatever tricks you've got left." As Marco and Zaxxlian worked feverishly to repurpose the quantum array, Aisha unleashed a barrage of unconventional defenses. Clouds of metallic chaff, normally used for atmospheric studies, created radar-jamming storms. Sonic emitters, designed for seismic analysis, blasted disorienting frequencies that played havoc with the drone's stabilization systems. Each improvised tactic bought them precious minutes, but the Corax assault was relentless. Just as it seemed the defenses might buckle, Marco's voice rang out triumphantly. "It's ready." Initiating quantum interference burst in 3, 2, 1. A wave of invisible energy pulsed outward from the outpost. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like puppets with their strings cut, the remaining drones suddenly dropped from the sky. "It worked," Aisha exclaimed, her usual stoicism cracking into a wide grin. "The skies are clear." But Samantha's relief was short-lived. The holographic display showed a new threat emerging from the Corax ships in orbit. "Dropships," she said grimly. "They're sending in ground troops." Zaxxlian's skin paled to a sickly gray. The Corax shock troops are feared across the galaxy. No conventional defense can stand against them for long. Samantha felt the weight of command settling heavily on her shoulders. They had survived the first assault, but at a cost. Their improvised defenses were depleted, their energy reserves running low. How could they possibly repel a ground invasion? As if sensing her thoughts, Marco spoke up. "Commander, I have an idea. It's crazy, probably suicidal, but it might just work." All eyes turned to the technical officer as he outlined his plan. It was, as he had said, utterly insane, a desperate gambit that flew in the face of conventional military tactics. But as Samantha listened, she felt a spark of hope ignite in her chest. "It's brilliant," she said finally, a fierce pride in her voice. "This is exactly why the Corax should fear humanity. We don't think like them. We improvise, we adapt, we overcome." As the team rushed to implement Marco's audacious plan, Samantha turned to Zaxxlian. "I need you to tell me everything you know about Corax ground tactics. Every detail, no matter how small. The alien nodded, its eyes gleaming with a newfound respect. Of course, and thank you. My people believed that younger races could never stand against the Corax. You have proven us wonderfully wrong. Outside, the first of the Corax dropships touched down, disgorging squads of heavily armed troops. They moved with practiced precision, clearly expecting little resistance from what they assumed was a primitive outpost. They were about to learn just how dangerous humanity could be when pushed to the brink. As Samantha watched her team work with grim determination, she allowed herself a moment of reflection. They were scientists, explorers, never trained for this kind of combat. Yet here they were, standing as the first line of defense not just for humanity, but for countless alien civilizations threatened by Corax expansion. "All right, people," she said, her voice steady and resolute. "Let's show these Corax what happens when they pick a fight with the wrong species. It's time to make humanity proud." With renewed purpose, the unlikely heroes of Outpost Epsilon prepared to face the next phase of the assault. The fate of Earth, and perhaps the galaxy, hung in the balance, resting on the shoulders of a handful of human scientists armed with nothing but their wits, their courage, and an alien ally who was beginning to believe in impossible victories. The battle for Proxima was far from over, but humanity had made its opening move, and the universe was watching, a daring plan. As the Corax ground forces advanced on Outpost Epsilon, the small team of human scientists and their alien ally huddled in the command center, putting the final touches on Marco's audacious plan. "All right," Samantha said, her voice taut with tension but underlined with determination. "Run it by me one more time." Marco nodded, pulling up a holographic schematic of the outpost and its surroundings. "We know we can't match the Corax in direct combat, but we have two advantages. We know this terrain, and they're underestimating us." He zoomed in on the network of caves and tunnels beneath the outpost. These lava tubes honeycomb the entire area. We've been studying them for years, mapping every twist and turn. The Corax, they have no idea they exist. Asa picked up the thread. "We've rigged the outpost with a series of charges. Not enough to destroy it, but enough to make it look like we're attempting a scorched earth tactic. Meanwhile," Marco continued, "we'll use Zaxxlian's stealth tech to mask our heat signatures as we retreat into the caves. The Corax will think we're making a last stand in the outpost, but we'll actually be circling around behind them." Samantha nodded slowly, seeing the plan unfold. And then, Marco's eyes gleamed with a mix of excitement and fear. "That's where it gets really crazy. We're going to steal a Corax dropship." The room fell silent for a moment as the audacity of the plan sank in. It was Zaxxlian who broke the silence, its skin rippling with an emotion Samantha couldn't quite interpret. "It is unconventional," the alien said carefully. "But the Corax would never expect such a tactic. Their arrogance blinds them to the ingenuity of younger races." Samantha took a deep breath, weighing the risks against their dwindling options. "All right," she said finally. "We go with Marco's plan, but we need to move fast. Isa, how long until the Corax reach the outpost perimeter?" 15 minutes, maybe less," the security chief replied grimly. "Then let's get moving." Marco, Zaxxlian, finished prepping the stealth gear. "Isa, arm the charges. I'll coordinate from here until the last moment." As her team scrambled to their tasks, Samantha felt the weight of command pressing down on her. This wasn't what she had signed up for when she took this posting on a remote exoplanet. She was a scientist, an explorer, not a military strategist. And yet, here she was, orchestrating a desperate plan to save not just her team, but potentially her entire species. The minutes ticked by with agonizing slowness. Samantha watched on the monitors as the Corax forces drew closer, that alien weaponry gleaming in the dim light of Proxima Centauri. Just as the first troops reached the outer defensive perimeter, she gave the signal. The charges detonated in a carefully choreographed sequence, creating a spectacular but ultimately harmless light show. Simultaneously, the team slipped into the hidden entrance to the lava tubes, their bodies shimmering and fading from view as Zaxxlian's stealth technology engaged. Samantha was the last to enter, sealing the entrance behind her. In the eerie quiet of the underground passageway, she could almost imagine the confusion of the Korax troops above as they stormed what they believed to be a burning outpost. "Status," she whispered into her comm unit. "Stealth systems holding," Marco reported. "No signs of pursuit." "Korax forces are fully committed to the outpost assault," Aishi added. "They're taking the bait." Samantha allowed herself a small smile. Phase 1 of their insane plan had worked. Now came the truly dangerous part. They moved through the twisting tunnels with practiced ease, their path lit by the soft bioluminescence of native fungi. Zaxxlian moved among them, its forearms proving surprisingly adept at navigating the rough terrain. After what felt like hours, but was likely only minutes, they emerged onto a rocky outcropping overlooking the Korax landing zone. 3 dropships sat there, their sleek forms a stark contrast to the rugged landscape. "There's our ticket out of here," Marco whispered, a note of awe in his voice at the sight of the advanced alien craft. Samantha nodded, her mind racing through the next steps of their plan. "Zaxxlian, you're sure you can pilot one of these?" The alien's skin shifted to a determined blue. "The controls are similar across many galactic civilizations. I can fly it." "Good, Isa, what's our window?" The security chief studied her portable scanner. "Guards are on a regular patrol pattern. We'll have a 90-second gap in about 2 minutes." Samantha took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. "All right, people, we've come this far. Let's make it count. Remember, speed and silence are our allies. Once we're inside that ship, we'll have to move fast before they realize what's happening." As they waited for their moment, Samantha felt a surge of pride for her team. They had faced an impossible situation with courage and creativity, embodying the best of what humanity had to offer. Whatever happened next, they had already proven that humans could stand tall among the stars. 30 seconds, Aisha whispered. Samantha met the eyes of each member of her team, seeing in them a reflection of her own determination. "For Earth," she said softly. "For Earth," they echoed. And with that, they began their daring dash towards the Korax dropship, and towards a future that would reshape the galaxy forever. Humanity's stand. The team moved with practiced precision, their steps silent on the alien soil as they approached the Korax dropship. Samantha's heart pounded in her chest, each beat a reminder of the razor's edge they walked between survival and disaster. As they reached the ship's hull, Marco pulled out a device he had cobbled together from parts of Zaxxlian's crashed vessel. "Let's hope this works," he muttered, pressing it against the ship's access panel. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, with a soft hiss, the entry ramp began to lower. "We've got company," Aisha hissed, her keen eyes spotting movement in the distance. "Patrol returning early." Samantha made a split-second decision. "Everyone in now," she ordered, ushering her team up the ramp. As the last of them entered, she heard the distinctive whine of Korax energy weapons powering up. Inside the ship, it was a flurry of activity. Zaxxlian moved with surprising speed to the control panel, its 4 arms dancing across the alien interface. "I need time," the alien called out. "You've got it," Samantha replied grimly. "Aisha, Marco with me. We need to hold that ramp." The 3 humans took up defensive positions, using the ship's interior structures as cover. Outside, they could hear the shouts of Korax soldiers, a cacophony of alien voices growing louder by the second. The first Korax warrior appeared at the base of the ramp, its armored form illuminated by the glow of Proxima Centauri. Aisha didn't hesitate. Her makeshift weapon, a repurposed geological survey tool now functioning as a crude particle accelerator, fired with a sharp crack. The Korax soldier stumbled back, its armor smoking. "Nice shot," Marco called out, before unleashing a barrage from his own jury-rigged weapon. For several intense minutes, the air was filled with the screech of energy weapons and the acrid smell of ozone. The humans held their ground, their improvised defenses and desperate courage matching the Corax's superior technology. Just as it seemed they might be overwhelmed, the ship lurched beneath their feet. "Hold on," Zaxlian's voice rang out. "We're taking off." Samantha felt a surge of elation as the dropship rose into the air, the ramp closing and sealing them off from the chaos below. They had done it. Against all odds, they had stolen a Corax ship right out from under the alien invaders' noses. But their victory was short-lived. As they ascended into the atmosphere, the ship's sensors blared a warning. "Multiple hostiles incoming," Zaxlian reported, its skin pulsing with anxiety. "The Corax fleet is moving to intercept." Samantha rushed to the control panel, her mind racing. They had come too far to fail now. "Zaxlian, does this ship have any special capabilities? Anything we can use?" The alien's eyes lit up with sudden realization. "Yes, this model is equipped with an experimental phase shift drive. It's unstable, but it could allow us to slip past the Corax defenses." "Do it," Samantha ordered without hesitation. As Zaxlian engaged the drive, reality seemed to warp around them. The viewport showed a dizzying display of colors and distorted space. For a terrifying moment, Samantha feared they might be torn apart. Then, as suddenly as it began, the effect ended. "We've cleared the Corax blockade," Zaxlian announced, its voice tinged with awe. "We're free." A cheer went up from the human crew, the release of tension palpable. But Samantha knew their mission wasn't over yet. "Set a course for Earth," she said. "We need to warn them. The Corax won't stop with Proxima b." As the stolen dropship accelerated towards their home solar system, Samantha allowed herself a moment of reflection. They had faced an advanced alien threat and emerged victorious, not through superior firepower, but through human ingenuity, adaptability, and sheer determination. The battle for Proxima was over, but the war for humanity's future among the stars was just beginning. A new dawn. The journey back to Earth was tense, filled with hurried preparations and urgent discussions. Using the Corax ship's advanced communications array, they sent out a warning to Earth, encoded in a way that only the highest levels of government would understand. As they approached the outskirts of the solar system, they were met not by panic or hostility, but by a hastily assembled welcoming committee. Ships from every major spacefaring nation converged around them, a show of unity in the face of the looming alien threat. The debriefing lasted for days. Samantha and her team recounted every detail of their encounter with the Corax, while Zaxlian provided crucial intelligence on the alien empire's strengths and weaknesses. World leaders listened with rapt attention, the gravity of the situation sinking in. In the weeks that followed, humanity underwent a transformation unlike anything in its history. Old rivalries were set aside as nations pooled their resources and knowledge. The revelation of alien life and the threat it posed served as a catalyst for unprecedented cooperation. Zaxlian's technology, combined with a captured Corax ship, accelerated human scientific progress by decades. New weapons were developed, defenses were fortified, and a unified Earth fleet began to take shape. But it wasn't just military preparations that occupied humanity. The knowledge that they were not alone in the universe sparked a renaissance in art, philosophy, and science. The human spirit, always resilient, found new purpose in the face of this cosmic challenge. 6 months after their return, Samantha stood on a platform at the newly christened United Earth Space Command headquarters. Beside her were Marco, Aisha, and Zaxlian, all of them now revered as heroes and architects of Earth's new interstellar policy. As she addressed the assembled crowd and the billions watching around the world, Samantha felt the weight of history on her shoulders. "We stand at a crossroads," she began, her voice carrying across the hushed audience. "The path ahead is fraught with danger, but also filled with incredible potential. The Corax believed us to be primitive, easy prey for their empire. We proved them wrong." She paused, looking out at the sea of faces, seeing in them the same determination that had carried her team through their ordeal on Proximab. But we cannot rest on our laurels. The Corax will return, and when they do, we must be ready. Not just to defend ourselves, but to show the galaxy that there is another way. That cooperation can triumph over conquest. That diversity can be a strength rather than a weakness. As she spoke, screens behind her showed images of the new Earth fleet, sleek ships that melded human design with alien technology. But they also showed scenes of human scientists working alongside alien refugees, of new colonies being established on distant worlds, of a humanity reaching out to the stars not in fear, but in hope. We are no longer alone in the universe, Samantha concluded, her voice ringing with conviction. And we are no longer confined to one small planet. The challenges ahead are great, but I have seen firsthand what humans are capable of when pushed to their limits. We will not merely survive in this new era. We will thrive, we will explore, we will make our mark upon the cosmos. As the crowd erupted in cheers, Samantha felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned to see Zaxxillian, its skin shimmering with an emotion she had learned to recognize as pride. "Your people continue to amaze me," the alien said softly. "When I crashed on your world, I thought I was bringing doom to another innocent race. Instead, I found allies, friends, and perhaps the key to finally ending the Corax threat." Samantha smiled, placing a hand on Zaxxillian's shoulder. "We're in this together now," she said. "All of us, human, Norathian, and who knows how many other races out there waiting to be discovered." As they looked out over the cheering crowd, the first stars of evening began to twinkle in the darkening sky. But to Samantha, they no longer seemed distant and cold. They were beacons of possibility, each one a potential new ally, a new discovery, a new adventure. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe. The road ahead would be challenging, filled with dangers they could scarcely imagine. But they would face it as they had faced every obstacle in their history, with courage, with ingenuity, and with an unshakable belief in their own potential. The age of Earth was over. The age of humanity among the stars had begun.